I was in my 50s, and my mother in her 80s, before I dared write on the forbidden subject again. It was in an autobiographical book called The Sacred Journey that I did it. And this time I told the story straight, except that out of deference to my mother, or in fear of my mother, I made no reference to her part in it. Otherwise, I set it down as fully and accurately as I could, and the only reason I was able to do so was I suspected that from Ansel Gibbs on, my mother had never really read any other book I'd written for fear of what she might find there. I was sure she wouldn't read this one either, and I turned out to be right. She never read the book, or the second autobiographical one that followed it, even though, or precisely because, it was the story of her son's life, and in that sense, her own story, too. She was a strong and a brave woman in many ways, but she was not brave or strong enough for that. We all have to survive the best we can. I'm told by people who've studied dysfunctional families, one of the things that is one of the great prices you pay for being in a dysfunctional family is that law of the dysfunctional family, don't talk, don't trust, don't feel, becomes a sort of built-in law which you continue to obey long after that dysfunctional family has ceased to exist, but you carry it as part of your baggage. So it's good to loosen your tongue, I think. It was in Florida that I started going to see another therapist who was herself an adult child, like me. And whom I suppose for that reason I was able to listen to and learn from in ways that I hadn't found possible when I tried it a few years earlier. And a lot of what she did, that woman, was not just to help me remember forgotten parts of my childhood and to recapture some of the feelings connected with those things which I had discovered as a child I should forget, but she also suggested certain techniques for doing that, recapturing the child I was. One such technique, I commend you all, was writing about those distant days with my left hand. I'm right-handed. My right hand is my grown-up hand. It's a writer's hand. It's a minister's hand. But when I wrote with my left hand, I found that what tended to come out was as artless and basic as the awkward scrawl it came out in. It was as if some of my secrets had at last found a way of communicating with me directly. She suggested on one occasion that when I got home I should try writing out a dialogue with my father, who died a half a century before. A dialogue, using my left hand for his part and also for my part. And here's how part of it went. The child is me, the father is the man in the gray slacks and the maroon sweater. The child, how are you? Father, I'm fine. Child, a long time no see. Father, it's been a long time. Child, do you remember the last time we saw each other, Jamie and I, in Essex Fells that morning in November? Father, I remember. Oh, you were playing a game. Everybody was asleep. Child, were you very sad? Were you scared, Daddy? Did you know what you were going to do? Father, I had to do it. Things were so bad, there wasn't any good way out. Child, could I have stopped you, Daddy, if I told you I loved you, if I told you I needed you? Father, no. Nobody could. I was lost so badly. Child, is this really you I'm talking to? I can't see your face. I've forgotten your face, your smell. Father, I remember you. I was proud of you. I wanted you to like me. Child, I've been so worried. I've been so scared ever since. Father, don't be. There's nothing to worry about. That's the secret I never knew, but I know it now. Child, what do you know, Daddy, my dearest Dad and Father? Father, I know plenty, and it's all good. I will see you again. Be happy for me. It's my birthday present to you. I loved you, boys. I love you still. Child, I love you. Goodbye for now. Father, so long, Fritz. Everything is going to be all right. My father's death, which I keep going back to, which was a hideous moment for me as a child, as I've gone back and thought about it and seen the effect of it upon me and of the silence of keeping it a secret upon me, I can see all the ways in which, in the long run, good things happened. I can bless it. It made me who I am, and I'm, by and large, not unhappy about who I am. This is part of the richness of what it was that created me at a terrible price, a price I never would have chosen to pay, God knows, but I can see how even through that darkness, God was at work. And I can forgive God if I blamed him for my father's death. Why did he do something about it? I can forgive my father for running out on us. I can forgive myself for having been so turned in upon myself by it, because I see how out of it came good things, healing things. Remembering is an important part, I think, of spiritual growth, because if I'm right in this general thing I keep saying, that God speaks to us most eloquently, most powerfully, most irresistibly through what happens to us, and if we forget what's happened to us, we've forgotten the words that have been spoken to us from on high. I think that's the most important part of remembering. Just the way Scripture remembers and remembers and remembers the captivity and the exodus and the promised land and the coming and the death and the resurrection, never losing track of these mighty acts of God. And we all in our lives have these less mighty, because they don't get in the headlines, but for us equally mighty acts of God, our own captivities, our own exoduses, our own discovery of something like the promised land, our own deaths and resurrections. These are, that's the Heilsgeschichte, that is our own sacred history. And to lose track of it is to lose track of the most precious thing you have.